there, and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Do you have a story to share? Hold that thought. Before we get into the good stuff, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share. I'm sure each and every one of you has a story to share. And in fact, we share stories every single day. Whether it's talking with our friends, our families, talking about how our day went, at work when we're doing presentations, using examples and anecdotes, or possibly at school when you're doing a school project. Sharing stories is a way that we illustrate things that happen in our life. But there's so many reasons why we should share our stories. It could be to inform or teach, educate people. It could be to entertain people. It can also be to inspire or help someone. Stories can be funny, they can be dramatic, they can be suspenseful, they can be inspirational. There's so many great things with stories. But what story do we tell, and how do we tell it? That's the question. It could be sharing a story to demonstrate a point, using examples. So you may want to be teaching your child a lesson and using a story from your past experience that you're trying to portray the picture. I remember, and I'm sure everybody's heard a version of this story, when I was younger, my father wanted me to learn to appreciate what was important in life. And he would tell me, when I was your age, I had to walk to school and snow up to here with no shoes. The reality was he had shoes, but he was trying to show me that life is always going to be difficult and we have to be thankful for what we have. Now, my dad's stories were very creative and very animated, being of Italian background, but they always had a message to the story, something I could walk away and learn. My mom as well had so many stories, my grandmother, and it was also to share what they had learned, but also to commemorate and leave a legacy of their past. So when you think about your grandparents or your elders in your life, they also have so many stories that they share to carry on their legacy. I love to tell my story to help inspire people, to help them see past their situation, to know that they're not the only one going through trials and tribulations, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But there are different ways to tell your story. So you could do it orally or verbally, do a speech. You could tell it in a storytelling time kind of thing. You could write a book. You could write a blog. You could journal. You could do a keepsake to keep within your family, a diary. There's so many ways to tell your story. But the point is, it's important to tell your story. But there's so many different elements to consider when you're telling your story to be effective. First things first, you need to know who your audience is. If you're going to be telling a story to a group of children, you're obviously going to accommodate your story to have the right language, use the right examples, perhaps the right humor, things that they're going to get. If you start talking in big professional language that is above their head, they're not going to understand. Whereas on the other hand, if you're talking to a group of professionals, you're obviously going to want to accommodate it to make sure that they can be engaged and understand what you're talking to. So you're not talking down to them, you're talking with them. So once you understand your audience, you have to know what the point of your story is. Why are you telling it? Is it to inform, educate, or teach? Or is it to help, inspire? Or is it to entertain? And once you know what the reason is, it'll help set the story in motion. Some other elements to make a really great story, obviously, are the characters. No story is ever a great success without good character development. So you're going to possibly have a story that includes you and somebody else, or perhaps it's a make-believe story that has the fairy godmother, the prince and the princess. Whatever the story may be, the characters are important. Usually there's some sort of conflict or issue that you're going to be talking about, and then there's going to be a climax to your story where the excitement happens and the conflict is going to be solved. Along the way, you definitely want to have something that people can take away from your story, a carry away, something they're going to remember, or a call to action, something that you're going to let them walk away and think about and do. So similar to when I tell you at the end of my videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's a call to action. But perhaps the call to action is to never give up or to always eat your vegetables. Whatever the story was based on, there's got to be something at the end that sums up the story. And let's face facts, not every story has a happily ever after ending, although we'd love them to. But as long as the story has something of value to, and of course that's subjective because depending on your audience, telling a story about toilet paper might be great for kids, but for adults, probably not so much. But think about the story of the COVID-19 pandemic. All the stories that we have accumulated throughout, from people hoarding toilet paper, stocking their cupboards with things like flour, thinking it was the end of the world, and to the point that we're staying at home and we're having to create this new normal. Think of all the stories that are going to come out of this experience. Perhaps it's going to be a legacy of somebody that we've lost to COVID-19. Perhaps it's going to be what you were doing when COVID-19 struck. Or maybe it's going to be the lessons that you learned during COVID-19. Each of us has a story to share, whether it's COVID-19 or not related. I encourage you to tell your stories, blog about it, share it on social media, tell your friends, tell your family, perhaps do video diary, record it, write it in writing, draw it in pictures, whatever way you feel passionately about telling your story, share it with others because what you have to say is important. I know myself, I have many stories that I love to share that illustrate different points. But the one story that means the most to me is the story that I write each and every day. We are blessed with opportunities to be able to make our stories come to life. Whether we are writing it from scratch or it's a book in progress, let's call it. Each chapter of our life gets different. We get building on it. And that's the best part about storytelling, is it's never ending. It evolves and changes, just like our lives. So I encourage you to think about what story you want to share and do it. Share it, because not only do I want to hear your story, but the world wants to hear your story. And you have different platforms to share it on. Whether it's through a book, on YouTube, on social media, or just within your family. The value to storytelling is invaluable. So until next time, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share those stories. I can't wait to hear yours. Till next time.